Hello there, Ken Weller here. Now, I've been hearing a lot of chatter lately, a real buzz in the air, if you'll pardon the pun. It's all about electric cars. The government, the eco-warriors, even your next-door neighbour. They're all telling you the same story. They say switching to an electric vehicle is like finding a magic money tree. You plug it in overnight for pennies and then you waft silently past petrol stations, smugly watching the plebs fork out a fortune for their fossil fuels. It's a lovely idea, isn't it? A future of cheap, clean and quiet motoring for all. The trouble is, like most things that sound too good to be true, this one often is. The adverts are brilliant, I'll give them that. They show a happy family unplugging their shiny new EV from their lovely suburban house, ready for a day of adventure. Their running costs practically zero. They sell you a dream. But what they conveniently forget to mention is the rather large and inconvenient elephant in the room. This utopian vision of bargain basement motoring relies entirely on one thing: having a driveway and a home charger and never ever needing to travel more than 100 miles from it. The reality for millions of people in this country is quite different. What if you live in a flat? What if you park on the street? What if, and this is a revolutionary thought, you actually want to use your car to travel somewhere far away? Suddenly, that cheap as chips running cost narrative begins to crumble faster than a poorly made biscuit. The moment you are forced to rely on the public charging network, you step into a world of financial pain. A world where the cost of electricity makes premium unleaded look like a sensible, budget-friendly option for the discerning motorist. This isn't some minor detail they've overlooked. It's the fundamental flaw in the whole argument. They've sold us the sizzle without mentioning that the steak is, in fact, an incredibly expensive and often rather hard-to-find lentil burger. The promise of cheap motoring is dangled in front of us, but for many, it remains tantalizingly out of reach. The hidden costs are not just hidden, they are a trap waiting to spring on the unsuspecting new EV owner, turning their eco-friendly dream into a rather costly and frustrating nightmare. We need a reality check, and we need it now. Let's get down to brass tacks, shall we? Numbers, it's all about the numbers. When the EV evangelists preach their gospel of savings, they're talking about charging at home. Let's be generous and say you've got a special overnight electricity tariff. You might be paying something like 10 pence per kilowatt hour. A typical electric family car, let's say a Kia EV6 or a Tesla Model Y, has a battery of around 75 kilowatt hours. A full charge from empty, therefore, will set you back a rather reasonable £7.50. For that, you'll get about 250 miles of range. That's brilliant. Truly, that single figure, that £7.50 for 250 miles, is the bedrock of the entire pro-EV argument. It's what they put in the brochures. It's what the salesmen tell you with a confident smile. It equates to about 3 pence per mile. Compare that to a diesel car doing 50 miles per gallon. With diesel at £1.60 a litre, that same 250-mile journey would cost you about £36. It's a no-brainer, isn't it? The electric car is 12 times cheaper to run. Case closed, everyone go out and buy a battery-powered car immediately. The planet is saved and your wallet is saved with it. But hold on a moment. As I said, this only works if you have a driveway and a charger and an off-peak tariff. What about the millions who live in terraced houses or apartment blocks? They have to trail a cable across the pavement, which is a health and safety nightmare waiting to happen. Or they have no option to charge at home at all. Their only choice is to use the public network. So for a huge chunk of the population, this headline figure of 3 pence per mile is utterly irrelevant. It's a fantasy. It's like advertising a mansion for the price of a garden shed, but failing to mention it's located on the moon. This is the great deception. The running cost of an EV isn't one simple low number. It's a spectrum. At one end, you have the privileged few with their driveways and cheap electricity, enjoying genuinely low costs. At the other end, you have everyone else who are about to discover that their eco-friendly choice is going to cost them an arm and a leg every time they need to plug in away from home. The industry has built its entire marketing strategy around the best-case scenario, knowing full well that for many, it's an impossible dream. So let's leave the cozy confines of our fictional driveway and venture out into the real world. You're on a long journey, the battery is getting low, and you pull into a motorway service station. You find a rapid charger, which is what you need to get moving again in a reasonable amount of time. You tap your card, plug in, and watch the kilowatts flow. What you might not be watching so closely is the price, because you're no longer paying 10 pence per kilowatt hour. Oh no, you're in the wild now, and here the predators charge what they like. On the public network, especially at a motorway services, you can expect to pay anywhere from 60 pence to 85 pence per kilowatt hour. Let's take an average of, say, 75 pence. Suddenly that 75 kilowatt hour battery in your family EV doesn't cost £7.50 to fill up. It now costs a staggering £56.25. Yes, you read that correctly, 56 quid. For the same 250 miles of range, your running costs have just jumped from a saintly 3 pence per mile to a rather sinful 22.5 pence per mile. And that, I'm afraid, changes the entire equation completely. Let's go back to our trusty diesel car, the one we were laughing at earlier, the one that cost £36 to do that 250-mile journey. It's suddenly looking like the more sensible option, isn't it? The diesel is now significantly cheaper to fuel up for a long trip than the all-singing, all-dancing electric car. The EV owner, who thought they were saving a fortune, is actually spending more, and not just a little bit more, a lot more. They're paying a premium for the inconvenience of having to stop for 45 minutes to recharge. This is the shocking truth that many new EV drivers discover on their first proper road trip. They've been lured in by the promise of cheap motoring, only to be ambushed by exorbitant public charging fees. It feels like a betrayal. The cost is unpredictable, varying wildly from one provider to another. One minute you're a genius, saving the world and your bank balance. The next you're a fool who's just been fleeced at a service station. The dream of a cheap electric future evaporates in the harsh glare of a rapid charger's screen. The problem, you see, is one of consistency. With a petrol or diesel car, you know roughly what you're going to pay. The price of fuel might fluctuate a bit, but it's displayed on a massive sign. You can see it from half a mile away. There are no nasty surprises. You know that a gallon of diesel in Cornwall will cost about the same as a gallon in Cumbria. You can plan your budget for a long journey with a reasonable degree of accuracy. This predictability is something we've always taken for granted, but its value becomes abundantly clear once it's gone. With an electric car, that certainty is completely obliterated. Your running costs are a lottery. It all depends on where you plug in. One day you're paying 3 pence a mile, the next it's over 20 pence. It makes planning a long trip a financial minefield. Imagine driving from London to Edinburgh. In a diesel car, you'd do it on one tank of fuel for about £70. In an EV, you'd need at least one, probably two stops at expensive motorway chargers. That journey could easily cost you more than £100 in electricity alone. The machine that was meant to be cheaper is, in the real world, more expensive. This is the fundamental issue that the industry doesn't want to talk about. For the high-mileage driver, the sales rep, or the family that enjoys holidays in the far-flung corners of Britain, an EV can be a financial liability. The very people who would benefit most from lower running costs are the ones who are penalized for not having access to a private driveway. It creates a two-tier system of motoring, the charging haves and the have-nots. And that simply isn't fair. The promise was cheap motoring for everyone, not just the wealthy. So the hidden cost of EV charging is not just about the price on the screen. It's about the death of predictability. It's the shock and the confusion that many owners feel when the numbers just don't add up the way they were promised. The technology is clever, no doubt about it, but the economics are, for many, deeply flawed. Until public charging becomes as affordable and transparent as filling up with diesel, the electric dream will remain just that for millions of drivers. A dream. Thanks for watching. If you found this useful, give it a like and don't forget to subscribe for more no-nonsense motoring truths.